Have you ever been asked to perform an exorcism at a Panera Bread? I was halfway through my turkey avocado BLT when the manager approached my table, wringing her hands like she was about to ask me to donate a kidney. I'd been coming to this Panera every Thursday for 3 years, always ordered the same sandwich, always sat in the corner booth by the window. The staff knew me as the quiet guy who graded papers and left good tips. "Excuse me, Professor Warwick," she said, even though I'd told her dozens of times to call me Jonah. "We have a situation. I taught medieval history at the community college down the street, which apparently qualified me as an expert on all things old and mysterious in her mind. 6 months earlier, I'd helped her teenage son with a paper on the Crusades. Ever since, she'd treated me like some kind of scholarly wizard. What kind of situation, Diane?" She glanced around nervously, then leaned in close. "The bread oven is possessed." I nearly choked on my sandwich. "I'm sorry, what?" "It started 3 days ago. The overnight bakers refuse to work alone anymore. The sourdough keeps spelling out messages. This morning it said, 'Get out,' in sesame seeds." I followed her to the kitchen, expecting to find a prank or a malfunctioning piece of equipment. Instead, I found the entire night crew huddled in the corner while the industrial oven banged and rattled like something was trying to escape from inside. "See?" whispered Tomas, the head baker. "It's been doing this for an hour." The oven suddenly went silent. Then slowly, the temperature display started changing. 606 degrees. The crew gasped. One girl crossed herself. "That's just a malfunction," I said, but even I heard the uncertainty in my voice. Diane grabbed my arm. "Professor, I know this sounds crazy, but my grandmother always said you were sensitive to these things. She saw you at the library researching town history. She said you understood the old stories." Her grandmother was right about one thing. I had been researching the town history, but only because I was writing a book about local folklore. I'd found stories about this exact spot, how it used to be a bakery in the 1890s where the owner, Silas Holbrook, had supposedly murdered his wife and buried her under the floor before burning the place down. "I'm a history professor, not a priest," I protested. "Please," Diane begged. "Corporate is coming tomorrow. If they see this, they'll shut us down. These kids need their jobs." I looked at the terrified staff, mostly college students and single parents working doubles to make ends meet. Against every rational thought in my head, I heard myself saying, "Fine, but I need salt, a lot of it, and everyone needs to leave except Tomas." They scattered to get supplies while I tried to remember everything I'd read about exorcisms in my research. Most of it was theatrical nonsense, but there were patterns, psychological frameworks that seemed to work whether you believed in spirits or not. When everyone cleared out, I turned to Tomas. "Okay, level with me. What really happened 3 days ago?" He shifted uncomfortably. "We found something when we were cleaning. A metal box buried under the old foundation when they were fixing the pipes. Inside was a wedding ring and a note. What did the note say? 'Margaret Holbrook, beloved wife, cursed to never rest.' We thought it was creepy but cool, you know? Like finding treasure, so we kept the ring. Roberto's been wearing it on a chain. I had him call Roberto immediately. The kid showed up within minutes, looking pale. The moment he walked in, the oven started its banging again. "Take off the ring," I ordered. "But it's gold. It's probably worth—" "Take it off!" The second the ring left his neck, the oven went quiet. The temperature display returned to normal. I took the ring and the note, had Tomas dig up the box, and we reburied everything in the small patch of garden behind the building. I said a few words I remembered from my research about Margaret Holbrook, mostly improvised nonsense about rest and peace. When we came back inside, I made a show of sprinkling salt around the oven and muttering in Latin, mostly conjugating random verbs I remembered from college. The staff watched from the doorway, phones out, recording everything. "The spirit has been appeased," I announced in my most professorial voice. "But Roberto has to make amends. Margaret demands he donate his next paycheck to the women's shelter." Roberto nodded frantically. "Yes, absolutely. Whatever she wants." The oven never acted up again. The video of me exercising a Panera Bread oven went viral on TikTok, getting 3 million views in a week. Students started calling me the carb exorcist on campus. Diane never charged me for lunch again. Last month, she pulled me aside to tell me they'd found old records at City Hall. Margaret Holbrook hadn't been murdered. She'd left Silas for another man, lived to be 94, and was buried in the cemetery across town. "So the haunting wasn't real?" she asked. I shrugged. "Roberto still donated that paycheck, didn't he? 3 other employees matched it. The women's shelter got almost $2,000 because of a ring and some sesame seeds." She smiled. "Margaret would have liked that. Sometimes the truth is less important than what people do with their fear."